Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls, start saving thousands in interest and fees, and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your website, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My name is Jessie. I'm a United States Special Forces widow. This gives me a unique perspective on the world around us. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you how I see it, and I won't pull any punches. This is my POV, which stands for Point of View. All right, this is Jessie. How y'all doing out there? Yes, I'm doing a little bit better. My voice is getting a bit stronger. I'm still not quite 100%, as I'm sure you can tell. Although I'm speaking above a whisper, which is what I was doing last night. Yes, I whispered a whole show for you guys last night. Don't ask me why I do these things. Well, I know why I do these things. I wanted to bring you the show. That was it. Point blank. I miss you guys when I'm not talking to you. How many times have I said that now? When are you guys going to start believing me? All right. As has been our format since the Mosul stuff started, I've got update on U.S. combat operations. I'm calling them U.S. combat operations. All right, U.S. operations in support of the liberation of Mosul. I've got some audio clips for you. Let me finish getting them pulled up. Yes, I'm running a few minutes late tonight. I'm sorry. It's been one of those days. And I know I'm good, and you're going to hear me say that a lot right now, and I apologize in advance because here's why. I have another super secret project going on. No, I'm not going to tell you about it. You may never get to hear about this one. But it's something I have to do. It's for my soldiers. So I apologize in advance, but I got to do it. And that occasionally means I'm running around like a cuckoo bird, a wacko bird, trying to get my show pulled together at the last minute. All right? All right. Now, let's get on with the information. Just as a reminder, December 17th, if you are listening to the sound of my voice and you are a Star Wars, Star Trek fan, one, both, I don't care, you want to be at KLRNRadio.com on December 17th. It's always a cool place to be. We've added a memes page. We have visual graphics that are updated daily on election stuff. We're working on an election night coverage. So it is amazing. All right. I'm working on a couple things here. But I do have some really awesome audio clips, and I will get to them in just 2 seconds. I just need to finish prepping them. It just means I've got to grab them and load them into my soundboard. Like I said, I was running around a little cuckoo today. It was a cuckoo bird. All right. Let's start. I've got one for Raqqa too, but let's start with the Mosul clip.
Of course, the advance of the Iraqi security forces on Mosul further complicates the enemy's ability to command and control its fighters. Daesh fighters have fought hard, but continue to lose ground against advancing Iraqi and Kurdish security forces. As many of you know, some Iraqi forces have reached Mosul and others continue advancing toward the city, making steady progress as Daesh are forced to fall back. The ISF are conducting their advance deliberately as Daesh continue their tactics to intimidate civilians and complicate the Iraqi advance. To assist the ISF and KSF, the coalition has conducted a relentless campaign of precision air, artillery, and rocket strikes, more than 3,000 since the operation to liberate Mosul started on October 17th.
All right. Sorry, I cut that last little part off. And that is a general on the ground in Baghdad giving us those updates. Actually, I think it was an Air Force colonel. But that is an authorized representative of the United States Armed Forces. Let me see if I've got his title real quick. I'm sure I can pull it back up in 2 seconds. That was Air Force Colonel John L. Dorian. So it was a colonel. I did have it right. All right. Now, I've got some other clips from his press conference that I want to play, and we're going to break some of them down a little bit more.
The coalition continues delivering equipment, vehicles, ammunition, and food to support the ISF and KSF advances. To give you some data on those efforts, the coalition's provided 279 Humvees, 84 MRAPs, 31 bulldozers, plus ambulances, bridging material, and obstacle breaching equipment. We believe all these things will help provide a decisive advantage to our partners as the tougher phases of the battle ensue.
All right, so we are helping our coalition partners. And as you heard him, he referred to ISF, Iraqi Security Forces, or Special Forces, and KSF, Kurdish Special Forces. Now, our dear friends, the Kurds, they don't just wander around. They kick tail. I'm not even sure if they take names, but they kick tail. I do try and keep this a family-friendly show despite some of the topics I cover. Alright, I know I'm throwing clip after clip, but I'm going to see if I can cue this one back up, and we're going to listen to it again, and I'm going to stop this one partway through. Let me see if I can get to the right point.
The coalition continues delivering equipment, vehicles, ammunition, and food to support the ISF and KSF advances. To give you some data on those efforts, the coalition's provided 279 Humvees, 84 MRAPs, 31 bulldozers, plus ambulances, bridging material, and obstacle breaching equipment.
All right, MRAPs, what are they? They are an IED or roadside bomb pretty much proof vehicle. I think y'all know what a Humvee is. The bridge clearing stuff, remember the old movies where the vehicle drives up and extends this bridge kind of thing and then everything can drive over it? That's kind of what they're talking about. Remember, they're also giving them food. Now, let's see if I've got this other audio clip. I hadn't planned on playing it, but I think it's well worth it in retrospect. So I'm going to see if I can find the exact spot I need on the fly. I'm 50-50 at those. We'll take a chance.
Colonel, thanks for doing this. There are reports coming out of Turkey right now claiming that Turkey and U.S. are establishing a joint task force to facilitate withdrawal of YPG forces from Manbij. Could you confirm that?
Okay, now that's branching off into Turkey, but we're going to listen to the answer. It's basically saying there are Turkish forces that have helped take control of Manbij, one of the other cities in Syria, remember? And there's word on the street, rumor, that U.S. and Turkey are going to try and kick the Kurds, the YPG, out of Manbij.
I'm afraid I can't. I've not seen those reports, and I'm not up to speed on it. I would ask you to follow that up with my colleagues in the Pentagon there.
And the other question on isolation of Raqqa. We know that the U.S. is intending to use SDF forces to encircle, to isolate the city from the north. But what about the southern flank of Raqqa city? Who do you think to use to isolate, to encircle the city from the south?
Mm-hmm. Well, there are significant numbers of Arab forces in that area as well, and we intend to train as many of them as we possibly can. We'll continue to work with our partners in Syria and to continue to enlarge that force and create enough that we'll be able to have that force encircle Raqqa. So that is the plan at this point. Right now, I don't think that all the forces that will be involved in that liberation campaign for Raqqa are yet trained, but that'll be a part of the effort, as will ongoing diplomatic discussions with our allies and our partners and coalition members to make sure that we get everybody on the same page and isolate Raqqa and then move in at a time of our partners' choosing.
All right, so that's actually talking about Raqqa. Now I've got two clips that kind of relate to Raqqa. This was a reporter's question earlier in this press conference.
So with Mosul, the western flank of the city appears to still be open. Are you seeing freedom of movement of ISIS fighters out of Mosul from the west? And if so, are they able to freely move to Raqqa? Are you seeing that at all?
All right, so that was the question. Are Mosul fighters able to basically, or are Daesh fighters in Mosul essentially able to escape to Raqqa?
Daesh has very limited freedom of movement. They don't have the ability to move in large columns. I don't think that I would characterize them as having freedom of movement to the west at all. So we're not seeing significant numbers of Daesh leaving the city or going in, for that matter. I've been asked that before. So we'll have to just let that play out. My understanding is that the government of Iraq has a plan for dealing with western Mosul, and we're certainly not going to facilitate the exit for Daesh, if that's the question.
All right, so we're not going to let Daesh just cut and run. Now, here was his opening statement on Raqqa, and I've isolated it, and we're going to take a listen.
I've seen a lot of discussion in recent days about plans for isolating and liberating Raqqa, and I thought it'd be appropriate to spend a few minutes on where we are now, the impact of past operations, and what we're going to do to set conditions for the liberation of Raqqa. In Syria, Operation Noble Lance, the operation with Turkey and their partnered forces, has liberated approximately 50 villages to date, further isolating pockets of Daesh presence, including Raqqa. Further isolating the areas in the north of Syria surrounding Raqqa. Before Noble Lance, Turkey and their partner forces conducted Operation Euphrates Shield, liberating Jarablus and a number of villages along the border. Those operations built a significant buffer along Syria's northern border, making it much more difficult for Daesh to infiltrate across the border into Europe. Before that operation, our partner force, the Syrian Democratic Forces, liberated Manbij after fierce resistance from Daesh. The enemy fought hard to retain this territory, which they'd used as a command and control node for external operations, leveraging its strategic location along the border. Ultimately, Daesh were forced to retreat and used human shields. They were driven from the city. Those operations have already done quite a bit to isolate Raqqa, reducing the access to infiltration routes to and from Europe. Throughout these operations, which were designed to increase pressure on the enemy, coalition forces have continued to relentlessly attack Daesh leadership figures, decimating Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi's Shura Council and extended leadership network. We've also continuously attacked their ability to make money in both Iraq and Syria from illicit sales of petroleum products, and we've used strikes to destroy their favored supply and infiltration routes. All of these operations are intended to disrupt and dismantle the enemy's ability to function as a coherent organization or respond to coalition and partner operations. And we've also seen a reduced ability to maintain the tempo of propaganda that we saw early in their campaign.
As you heard, they have made some significant strides. And if you notice, you don't hear about a new piece of Daesh propaganda every other day. And for one, I don't want to hear their propaganda. They can keep it to themselves. I'm sorry. You guys have your own message. I don't support it. Pound pause. My, oh my, where has the time gone? I know I got a late start, but the Jen and Rick show's on my heels. So guess what we gotta do because it's the bottom of the hour? We gotta pay those bills and take that commercial break. I will see you on the other side.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate Formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
You can run away if you wanna. You can't pretend
you for hanging in there with me over that commercial break. Now, one of our other favorite topics on this show. North Korea. Oh yeah, the lunatic to the north is, of course, saber-rattling again. I don't have any good audio clips for you. However, 38 North, which is an online website that monitors things in North Korea, and they don't have people on the ground. Who does? What they do is they watch the things like the nuclear test tunnels and things like that through commercial satellite imagery. And they post about it. So they are saying that, of course, they also touch on U.S. politics when they post because of our relationship or lack thereof with North Korea. But first we're going to look over the latest summary from the Tonghae Satellite Launching Ground. Commercial satellite imagery indicates that Tonghae Satellite Launching Ground, North Korea's east coast, remains in what they call caretaker status. While construction efforts began in 2011 were suspended in 2013, routine activity continues. No launches have been attempted from this facility since 2009. And extensive repairs would be needed to reuse the old launch pad and gantry tower. However, with some maintenance, the engine test stand could accommodate testing up to no-dong-sized engines. They don't have any suspicions on why the construction was halted, except possibly to divert more things to the nuclear program. Now, there is a few other interesting things about North Korea. North Korea has named a new ambassador to Britain, or the United Kingdom, take your pick, after a high-level defection. Remember we talked about the defection on air? North Korea said on Thursday it appointed a new ambassador to the United Kingdom more than 2 months after the embassy's number 2 diplomat defected to South Korea in an embarrassing blow for the regime leader of Kim Jong-un. KCNA, North Korea's official news agency, said the new ambassador is Cho Il, whom South Korean media had previously reported was a senior official in the country's foreign ministry. In August, South Korea had announced that Tae Yong-ho, the number 2 official in North Korea's London embassy, had defected, making him the highest ranking diplomat to free the isolated regime for the democratic South. Tae has yet to appear in public since his arrival in South Korea. However, all South Korean defectors aren't necessarily defectors. And the reason I'm saying that is because a defector suspected of praising North Korea's ruling family has been arrested for violating South Korean law. The defector, whose identity is being protected, may have posted up to 63 statements on the internet praising the 3 generations of Kim, as in Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-il, and Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-il, and Kim Jong-un. Notice Kim, Kim, Kim. One of his messages read, "Let us raise the red flag high. Let us follow the revered leader Kim Jong-un and fly the flag. Allegiance to the revolutionary leader is the will and the conscience of the revolutionary warrior. The defector who worked as a middle school chemistry teacher in North Korea for 3 years was using songs from North Korean textbooks. He reportedly used computers in public libraries and similar spaces to post the online messages to deter investigations. The defector left North Korea in July 2005 and entered South Korea in 2007. Now, this suspect says to me he might be a plant. Okay? I gotta say, he just might be a plant. Alright. I'm going to kind of touch on U.S. politics, but we aren't going to get cuckoo with it, alright? Sorry, I'm just pulling it up. Whoever wins Tuesday's presidential election will face an assertive, aggrieved Russia, whose risk-taking behavior underneath President Vladimir Putin is increasingly worrisome to U.S. experts. Alright, let's face it, the man's pushy, headstrong, and willing to assassinate, or at least in my mind, assassinate political opponents. Corruption pervades nearly every sector of the Russian economy. Their economy is sagging, it's got an underdeveloped technology base and shrinking population. Collapse of the Soviet Union is still an open wound, especially as far as Putin is concerned. And many Russians blame the United States for taking advantage of them during their years of decline. Yet inwardly weak Russia displays the cockiness of a street fighter. It's waging war in Syria, Ukraine, and cyberspace with a seeming disdain for U.S. power. And according to Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, Russian hackers sought to interfere with U.S. election process on authorities of the highest levels of the Russian government. Putin's definition of risk-taking has evolved in the direction of greater boldness and less attention to how it will affect the U.S., and that's from Dmitry Sims, president of the Center for National Interest. Putin thinks that American positive inducements are next to non-existent. The penalties are minimal and will be imposed whatever he does. The next president must assess how to alter Russian behavior without direct military confrontation. Now, some people say it's best to cut deals with him. Some people say they should assert U.S. power and interests. I'm not sure. Russia's strategy has been characterized as hybrid warfare. However, the better term is the Russian word bespredel, which means absence of limits or anything goes. The word is often used to describe the behavior of the corrupt oligarchs who have prospered in Putin's Russia. Moscow's new weapons range across the spectrum of hard and soft power, overt and covert. What binds them together is a coherent system of the willingness of Russian Federation to implement them without any constraints. Putin himself displays an unusual combination of personal traits. He can be emotional, headstrong, and even impulsive. But Putin is also calculating. Remember, he is KGB born and bred. And yes, I know it's FSB now, but he is old school KGB. And Putin's risk tolerance has grown. I mean, come on. The old Cold War, they never did anything like going to Syria and going, yeah, we'll get in the middle of a proxy war. Come on, we've never seen that move pulled before. Now, here's where I'm going to dip my toe into U.S. politics. Americans are just coming to terms with the prospect of political cyber attacks tied to Russia. This isn't the first time the Kremlin-linked hackers have been accused of trying to influence voters in other countries. Between the torrent of stolen emails, most damaging to Democrats and Hillary Clinton, and attempts to hack into voting machines, many say that Putin's government is trying to undermine trust in the U.S. election process. Based on the scope and sensitivity of these efforts, only Russia's senior-most officials could have authorized these activities. That's according to Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Homeland Security and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. Russia's been accused of this before, and notably when hackers attempt to hijack an election in neighboring Ukraine. A few days before the vote, a sophisticated cyber attack shut down Ukraine's Central Election Commission computer systems by disrupting the internal network. A pro-Russian hacktivist group called Cyber Berkut claimed responsibility. It's not clear whether Cyber Berkut was responsible for a false story that was broadcast or not. According to a Ukraine official investigation, the incident the investigation is ongoing. Additional malware has been found on Election Commission system. This was traced back to the group AP28, also known as Fancy Bear, which has been linked to recent hacks inside the United States. Yes, so this group is linked to hacks inside the United States. So first we had geopolitical conflict on the ground, now we have it in cyberspaces. That is the next frontier. Of course, the Kremlin denies it. Who couldn't have written that press brief? The U.S. documents stolen in the recent attacks were released through WikiLeaks and pushed out almost simultaneously on Russian news sites. FireEye researchers have linked APT28 to Russia in part by showing that some of the source code was written in Russian and that the malware was compiled during Russian working hours. Malware associated with APT28 has reportedly been found on the computers of German lawmakers earlier this year in what investigators have described as an espionage campaign. AP28 also claimed responsibility on its website for leaking athletes' health records from the World Anti-Doping Agency database in an apparent attempt to discredit the organization after it recommended Russian athletes be banned from this year's Rio Olympics. While breaches in the U.S. have been far more embarrassing for the Democrats and Clinton, the intent of Russia's meddling was not to favor a particular candidate, but to undermine democracy in some way. U.S. intelligence officials are concerned that attackers with ties to Russia could try to post falsified documents to undermine confidence in the result to stir fears of voter fraud. U.S. officials have already warned Illinois and Arizona in August after reports that hackers had infiltrated their voter system, although it was unclear what, if any, information was obtained or altered. I think Russia is up to their old tricks. NATO's top commander recommended the U.S. government respond to Russia's attempts to influence the presidential election through non-cyber means, emphasizing a null answer would merely reward Moscow's bad behavior. General Philip Breedlove, former NATO Supreme Allied Commander for Europe and head of U.S. European Command, said the United States should consider using a combination of diplomatic information, military, and economic tools to punish Russia for directing hacks into U.S. political institutions. I don't believe that a null set is the answer. I believe we cannot reward bad behavior with no answer, Breedlove told an audience at Atlantic Council, and that's a Washington-based international relations think tank. And this is a retired 4-star Air Force general. Breedlove's own private emails were released by DC Leaks, a website that has been linked to Russian hackers earlier this year. The DNC emails, as well as those from the personal email of Hillary Clinton campaign chair John Podesta, have been released by WikiLeaks, which has denied having connections to the Russian government. No, I think WikiLeaks just takes whatever information anybody hands them, to be perfectly honest. Alright, we're going to talk Syria for just a minute, because it's been a little while since we've done the Syrian scorecard. And I'm sorry, I don't have any audio for you. Syria's U.S.-backed SDF says no to Turkish assistance in Raqqa. The U.S.-backed Syrian Democratic Forces, alliance of Kurdish and Arab armed groups, said on Thursday it would reject Turkish involvement in the operation to drive Islamic State from its Syrian capital, Raqqa. U.S. officials have said they hope to start an offensive against the Islamic State in Raqqa within weeks, and have said that Syrian Democratic Forces, or SDF, will play an integral role. Syrian Democratic Forces are the only forces that will take part in the operation to liberate Raqqa, we informed the international U.S. coalition. We reject any Turkish role in Raqqa operations. Turkey's military and allied Syrian rebel groups last week fought against Kurdish forces allied to the SDF in northwestern Syria, with both sides are seeking to take territory from their mutual enemy, Daesh. Ankara is dismayed at the prominent role in the SDF played by the Kurdish YPG militia, which it sees as a front for the Kurdistan Workers' Party that has waged a 3-decade insurgency inside Turkey. So, yeah. Now, we're going to kind of pull two things together. Russians are secretly dying for the Kremlin in Syria. This year proved deadly for about one unit of 100 Russian fighters supporting President Bashar al-Assad's troops in northern Syria. On February 3rd, a 38-year-old Maxim Golagov was killed in a firefight with rebels near Aleppo when a bullet pierced his body armor and heart. On March 9th, the same unit came under shell fire near Palmyra, and Sergei Morozov, also 38, died on his way to the hospital. Back in southern Russia, medals were delivered to the family, the Order of Bravery with certificates signed by Vladimir Putin. The medals were intended to honor the sacrifice they made for their country. Except Kolgov and Morozov were not employed by the Russian state. Wait, what did I just say? Kolagov and Morozov, who received medals delivered to their families with certificates signed by President Putin, talking about the sacrifice they'd made for their country, were not employed by the Russian state. They were seen in Syria as private contractors, a small part of an army of such people who are being deployed secretly by the Kremlin in Syria. The deaths of Kolganov and Morozov and others like them have not been made public. Families say they were given little information and told not to discuss the cases, at least one that Reuters uncovered. of a fighter killed in Syria received a payout of around $100,000 in compensation. Officially, Russia is only participating in an air war over Syria with a small number of special forces on the ground. Folks, that is horse hockey. Under Russian law, it is illegal to work as a private military contractor in another country. However, Russian citizens have participated in wars across the Soviet Union throughout 25 years since it broke up in 1991. So I'm going to say that Russia ain't playing ball. At least not fairly. They are trying to write their own rulebook. Alright, I'm going to end. I've got to get out of here just a moment because the Jen and Rick show is hot on my heels. Alright, I'm going to go through fact and fiction about military lives. Myth, you won't be able to be in contact with friends and family. Who are we kidding? It's 2016. Smartphone capabilities and other tech advances have made communication easier than ever. Skype, FaceTime, video chatting services, even deployed service members can stay in touch with friends and family at any time of day from some of the most remote areas of the world. I mean, really? Military life is incompatible with having a family. When young people think about military life, some people believe it can be a lonely life that involves a lot of location changes and deployment. Yes, you do move in the military. It's very family-oriented. In fact, 52% of the enlisted force is married, while 70% of the officer corps is married. That's higher than the U.S. average of about 48%. You get penalized if you get pregnant. Some young people actually believe this, but it's definitely false. In fact, the DoD offers some of the best maternity leave available in the United States. Earlier this year, Defense Secretary Ashton Carter expanded maternity leave to 12 continuous weeks for all new moms serving in uniform. The Secretary is also working to expand paternity leave for dads too. You have fewer chances to earn money for college. Okay, how many of you out there have not heard of the GI Bill? Really? In the past decade, the GI Bill has helped more than 2.3 million veterans pay for college. Veterans don't know what to do when they go back to the quote-unquote real world. Like anything else, when you leave one way of life for another, it can be a transition. Come on, moving cross-country, leaving home for college. But that's no different than anything a veteran does. And believe it or not, while there is a transition period when you leave the military, there are several programs that help service members with transition and separation, including Hiring Our Heroes program, and the military has their own program to help you get your resume ready before you leave the service. So some of the most common myths about military service and have been debunked. Sorry folks, I couldn't find a good news story for you today. And on that note, I'm out of here.